all of your work validates, you know, your listeners and your readers and followers. Is that pretty much your intent with your work?
Yeah, I feel like as a therapist, it kind of is like the root of what we do is because I know our internal dialogue can be so invalidating and minimizing. It's nice to sometimes hear from someone that it's okay to feel that way, that it's normal, nothing's wrong with you, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that down to earth approach that you have. And that's why I was so excited that you're joining us today. And, selective mutism being a social communication anxiety disorder and being incredibly misunderstood in the world, in the population of even clinicians. One of the things we experience, which is what I wanted to talk to you today about, is the stress that caregivers experience. This isn't an easy 1, 2, 3 type of thing, especially because it's so misunderstood. So I thought today we would talk about caregiver stress.
Exciting topics, Jazz. But yes, important.
Yes, for sure. So in your experience, I mean, dealing with so many like people that reach out to you, I'm sure on a regular basis, you must experience this all the time.
I'm not the best. I always like to say I know better. It doesn't mean I do better personally, but I definitely think that burnout as a whole is something that only recently we've started really talking about and seeking to understand. And I think for everybody to understand what we mean when we talk about burnout, and we can get into stress and stuff as well, but burnout itself happens when the reward, and reward isn't just money, it could be fulfillment, it could be, knowing someone's okay, right? If you're taking care of your child or someone else you love, knowing that they're taken care of is the reward. But the reward needs to be at least commensurate, if not greater than the effort. And that's not always possible, right? Life is tricky. I mean, especially now, everything's more expensive and we make the same amount of money. So that can make the reward, ooh, now it shifts. Or if we're taking care of someone, when we're talking specifically about caregiving, their needs can increase and decrease, so the effort's changing, the reward will stay the same. So I think it's really important for us all, myself included, you also, Dr. E, is to have some regular routines around self-care. And I know self-care people talk about like it's face masks and vacations and massages. Self-care costs you nothing. I get up 5 minutes early, so it's 5 minutes of silence. And I get to wake up a little at a time, or I take a longer shower, or I make myself a yummy meal. There's a lot of ways we can put ourselves first without feeling like we're neglecting those that we're caring for.
No, I love how you're explaining this. It's so real and so important. And I think that what I experience are families traveling, many travel from all across the world to see us for our expertise. And they're burnout already. You could see it in their flat affect. You could see it in just how they hold themselves, self-care, just even how they dress sometimes they're just exhausted. You could see it. And a lot of this is a result of their frustration because they haven't been able to help their child. They haven't received the right help. So that on top of just dealing with a child or a teen or even an adult with a social communication anxiety or a disability that they feel helpless about. And so it's amazing to watch that metamorphosis as they do go through treatment and they start to understand what is really happening with their child, teen, or adult that they're working with. And you see the change in them just from that. However, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the self-awareness to needing self-care. I love your routines. And, for me, it's walking. I break up my day with going for a walk and taking deep breaths as I walk, or listening to my music or an audiobook. That's a big form of self-care for me, and socializing. So I have that awareness. I'm feeling a certain way. What I find, and probably you've experienced, is because they're so entrenched in this disability and the lack of understanding and not knowing what to do and how to do it. I often see families, parents specifically, just they're not aware of their stress. They're not aware of what they need. So how do you talk to your listeners and your followers and, clients in the past of how do you deal with this?
Yeah. And that's a good point too, because they're so disconnected, right? If all our focus is on someone else, then we often don't pick up on how we're doing. Um, yeah, I mean, to be truthful, that's where a kind of a different type of routine could really be beneficial. And it doesn't have to cost you anything, doesn't have to take much time, but it's essentially like in the middle of the day, at the end of the day, pick a When you know you have like 5, 10 minutes, maybe when this person usually showers or you know that they have another appointment, can we do a check in?